This is Don Calloway from the National Voter Protection Action Fund. We are here today in Atlanta, Georgia with Andrea Young. She is the Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, and Ufot. She is the Executive Director of the New Georgia Project. So we're going to hear a little bit more about both of their organizations and what's going on exactly and what's at stake this election cycle 20 days from now here in the entire state of Georgia. So Andrea, can you tell us a little bit about the mission of the ACLU of Georgia, and are you seeing any type of voter suppression tactics this cycle?
Right. Well, yes, the ACLU has been in Georgia since the 1960s, and in fact, some of the early work was to enforce the new Voting Rights Act of 1965. We've been at that continuously since that time. Protecting the right to vote, among other civil liberties issues, free speech, criminal justice reform. What we've been seeing, particularly in the last 18 months, has just been relentless voter suppression. We've seen poll closings, which get at the super voters, the people who are homeowners who are accustomed to voting at the same place. We've seen purges, tactics directed at people who move frequently, younger people, lower income people, being taken off the active voter rolls. We have seen problems most recently with absentee ballots and having people's absentee ballots disqualified based on signatures. And then there's also been the threat of this new exact match, that if your ID, your voter registration doesn't match some other database that no one even knows what it is in the state, that somehow your voter registration will be questioned. So, we, along with partners like NSA and other organizations, are fighting back on all those fronts with legal tactics, with voter education tactics, with voter mobilization efforts, and legislative efforts.
Wonderful. NSA, over at New Georgia, can you tell us about some of your plans to combat voter suppression and to help protect our vote this cycle here in Georgia?
Yeah. So we tend to take a three-tactic approach to fighting voter suppression and just expanding access to the franchise. Litigation, obviously, like in partnership with friends like the ACLU and others. Sort of old school organizing, boots on the ground, going out and having face-to-face conversations with Georgians. I say face-to-face, but it's supplemented by text messages and phone calls. And then a communications effort. So trying to be really strategic in our communications and really targeted in our communications. So we're shooting a commercial called My First Time, and it's really for first-time voters, new Americans, and people who've turned 18 years old, and this is the first time that they're going to be voting. That just tells them all the things that they need to know. I think that in terms of combating voter suppression, we're 20 days out from a really critical election. And the one way that I know that we can ensure that the will of the people is reflected in the election results is to have overwhelming turnout, right? And so obviously, like, we will be prepared to fight in court when it makes sense. Right. But we need every single Georgian to get out and vote. And then when people get out and vote, and if they encounter problems at the polls, we're trying to make sure that everyone knows that they have the right to vote a provisional ballot, right? Gotcha. And so it's not, we definitely don't lead with provisional ballots. It is certainly like a worst case scenario, right, but it is an option that Georgians have, and we want to make sure that they know it.
So if you encounter problems at the polls, nobody should leave without demanding at least a provisional ballot.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely.
Ms. Young, can you tell us about some of the races on the ballot? As you know, we don't coordinate with candidates or campaigns, but tell us what's on the ballot this cycle in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, so the ACLU of Georgia at our Smart Justice Georgia website has a list of all the voter positions on ACLU issues that have been taken by all the members of the legislature and the 4 top constitutional races. So we have a governor on the ballot, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and attorney general are 4 of the most important. And all of those affect, how civil liberties will be administered, how the right to vote will be protected in those key races. And so you can go on our website and find out where the candidates stand on issues that are important to the ACLU and that have to do with civil rights and civil liberties. and how every single member of the legislature voted on key civil liberties issues.
That's great. Well, us at the National Voter Protection Action Fund are fairly new. We're 30 days old, give or take.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And we've been very fortunate in those 30 days. We've got over 900 members. So we're working on being 1,000 members strong. And we have crowdsourced small dollar donations using the hashtag #IGotFive on voter protection. And there are people all across the country who might not live in Georgia or may not live in another state that has a marquee election this cycle, but they want to help make sure you all are able to carry out your mission in protecting ballot box access, because it's the only and it's the most important right we have by far. So on behalf of our 950 plus members, we're very proud to present you all the ACLU of Georgia and the New Georgia Project with a check for $5,000 each. We're very excited to help you all further your mission of democracy. So you all, your money is hard at work. These women are going to do everything they can in their organizations to protect the ballot box for millions of Georgians in just 20 days this cycle. They are doing real work, and we're very, very proud to be a part of it. Log on to nvpactionfund.org and give us another $5 if you already have. And if you have not, please pledge that you got 5 on voter protection today. Thank you all so much. That's nvpactionfund.org. Anything you all want to leave them with?
I just want to say also, call anybody that you know in Georgia or other critical states and make sure that they have a plan to vote before by or on November 6th.
Absolutely. And download the New Georgia Project app. We are in the iTunes store and in the Google Play store. It's tons of information about candidates all up and down the ballot, as well as the 5 constitutional amendments and 2 statewide referenda.
So over the next 20 days, we will be all over the country partnering with voter protection organizations like the ACLU, like the New Georgia Project. We'll be in Arkansas, we'll be in Wisconsin, Missouri, putting your money to work. Thank you all so much for your support. It is going to the most important right that we have. NVPActionFund.org. Thank you all so much. I got 5 on voter protection.
So do I.